Invincible Shuangwen plus a Diablo villain plus a national crossing plus a small suspense plot plus sequence weapons plus a no system plus a no female lead, starting off with a strong revenge. Fist the motherland. Because I am an ancestor. The protagonist crazily criticizes the villain for not being the Virgin Mary and not following the routine in their actions. After one chapter, let's start with excitement and fight happily. Short and not too many words. There are sequential weapons, abilities, and martial arts. The restraint relationship is clear, but the protagonist is semi-invincible. A villain has emerged from the concentration of justice for 100 years. After the World War of the Pathfinder Wars and the Rebirth Wars, the Earth has traveled. In the New World, everyone is being oppressed. The rules have been rewritten by a powerful family. After the male protagonist Leng Li was brutally killed by the rules set by humans one after another, he chose to seek revenge crazily. Everything has returned to its starting point. Coldly just wants to kill everything. As long as I am the villain and the hero will not die, I am the final say. Chapter 1. The strong descend the mountain. I'm here for revenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brain flower storage area. Why don't we store it for now? Ladies and gentlemen, handsome and beautiful readers, if possible, let's follow up. Wishing everyone a happy new year in advance. In the 2086 new calendar year of the original world, the Earth has traversed on its own. A new world is born. Leng Li looked at the countless corpses of the holy mountain, and the blood stained the top of the mountain red. He instructed the person next to him. It's time to go down the mountain. Within the city of Qixia Kingdom's music scene in a luxurious restaurant, the golden and magnificent atmosphere was illuminated by warm-colored lights, casting a flickering light on Zhang Bo's face. Do you know how cruel it would be to fall into the hands of drug traffickers? What you said just now was not worth it. Although Zhang Bo's tone was plain, every word he uttered was as sharp as a sword. A few people are having a graduation dinner at university. My friend Xiaofan sneered and replied, "Hey, I heard it was the drug enforcement officer Yulin who brought it on himself. It's all been confirmed by the assassins of the underworld, so we should fold up and kneel down." Zhang Bo didn't care about Xiaofan, but looked at the other friends who were having dinner together. First, the drug dealer will take off your knee. Then get a poison shot. Speaking of which, Zhang Bo pointed his finger at Xiaofan. The light doesn't seem to shine on his face. First break your hands and feet, then pour water and beat until you vomit stomach juice, until you say the address of your family. A friend stopped Zhang Bo and shouted loudly, "Enough. Not just Yulin, the so-called hero, has died. Now the New World family is ruling. Who wants him to meddle?" Zhang Bo smiled and coincidentally, the latest news in China popped up on his phone. The latest news is that Zhang Weimin, the leader who took the lead in framing the internet financial giant, Feng Chernobyl, was killed at home. The body has a complete fracture, blood vessels are closed, and the face is bleeding from 7 holes. News instantly explodes on online platforms. Was this killed by an assassin? Model worker picking mud. Uncle Weimin is a hero. He was the first one to discover our credibility, and all the money has been turned into game scrolls. Does the government ignore it? The feudal aristocracy intended to circulate coins as online currency a few years ago. How dare he? If he says one more bad thing here, he will be killed. This netizen never found this person again. The news of the past few days has been booming one after another, as if there is a great conspiracy. Latest news. Professor Liang Yu, who has developed universal disease antibodies, died of a body fracture accident at his residence in Guantai Street. He is suspected to have had a fierce conflict with the Nan family before his death. In an instant, netizens on the internet were boiling up again with anger. Is this the rhythm of trying to kill those who resist? The upper class loves to do dirty things the most. The universal antibody is really made. Who will buy the medicine for those dog things? This netizen issued an apology statement before his death. Including Yu Lin, 6 heroes of Qixia Kingdom have already died in almost a month. The girl next to her looked nervous and asked Zhang Bo, Bozi, is the money on our reputation really a bit of a roll? Zhang Bo said calmly, But after being disturbed by Zhang Weimin, it has now become a high withdrawal fee. The girl looked bitter and complained, that's for the people, why bother us? You're crazy. The nearby brother bumped into Zhang Bo and asked, Bozi, isn't Liang Yu's medicine really able to treat all diseases? Zhang Bo laughed, the significance of this medicine is not that it can treat all diseases, but that Professor Liang Yu only plans to buy a bottle for 50 yuan. You should know that a cold medicine in the New World sells for 50 yuan. The brother looked lost in thought and said with a stern expression, Hey, this group of people is getting rich. It's none of my business if it doesn't pass. Does no one dare to seek revenge for them? What about those righteous heroes? Oh my, who dares to be the leading bird in this new world? Just make a puppet honestly. Zhang Bo looked at the news about the rebellion of the general of Qixia Kingdom a while ago, and his eyebrows furrowed even more. 10 years ago, Qixia Kingdom began to be misled by cultists from neighboring countries, with a large number of terrorists attacking civilians. General Peng Yuan's army fought for 10 years, eliminating all the terrorists and ultimately leading to suspicion of collusion with the empire. Including 3 widely discussed and recognized heroes on the internet, there are also 3 who died unexpectedly. Lawyer Li Zheng, who is fighting a lawsuit for 30,000 workers to recover their salaries. At that time, no one in the country dared to take on the case. Li Zheng took on the case and argued fiercely in court. It was like a verbal battle among the heroes. In addition, there is also a blogger named Guan Tao who exposed Luoli Island and the Black Heart Company through online live streaming. Finally, it is the drug enforcement officer Yu Lin, who is silently pursuing a suspected Yuan family 100-ton drug case. Surprisingly, Yu Lin's true identity has been made public, which is even more remarkable. More than 300 members of the team sacrificed their lives, and their families, old and young, were forced to jump off a building and commit suicide. After inspection, it was found that they died unexpectedly. You should know that the identity of a drug enforcement officer cannot be known until he dies. Fortunately, Yu Lin is just an orphan at this time. A small news was broadcasted on the internet. A young man surnamed Leng, who was involved in a village extermination massacre 10 years ago, escaped from the Holy Mountain. Looking at this news, Zhang Bo's friend suddenly said, Hey, do you know that drug enforcement officers Yu Lin and Zhang Weimin both grew up in the Holy Mountain orphanage? Friend Xiaofan stared at Big Gua's phone and also agreed. Don't say it. Professor Liang Yu, General Peng Yuanjun, rogue lawyer Li Zheng, and iron-hearted blogger Guan Tao all grew up in the Holy Mountain orphanage. Another friend was also curious, where is this Holy Mountain orphanage? Xiaofan chuckled and said, You don't know anything, do you? There is not only an orphanage on the Holy Mountain, but also a research institute for underage gain and loss on the Holy Mountain. What is it? A juvenile psychiatric hospital. I heard it's eerie and terrifying there, and those being detained are all serious criminals. Cases like dismemberment and serial homicide, and these detained people all have serious mental illnesses and extreme violent tendencies. Zhang Bo took a cold breath, but he wasn't quite afraid at this moment. A group of neatly dressed men walked into the gathering place and sat in the VIP room in front of Zhang Bo to eat. Those few beasts just now were the bodyguards of the Yuan family. I heard there was a conflict with drug enforcement officer Yu Lin, and one of them even threw the officer's mother downstairs. Xiaofan also suddenly remembered to ask, Brother Bozi, this restaurant costs 1,000 yuan per meal. Where did you go after disappearing for 2.5 years? Why did you suddenly become so wealthy? Zhang Bo smiled calmly and said, Well, I'm in a mental hospital, hee. Xiaofan and a few friends laughed heartily, all laughing at Zhang Bo, who pretended to be crazy and foolish when he spoke. Zhang Bo stood up and immediately bent down to thank his friends. Let's leave today, we'll see you later." After speaking, Zhang Bo calmly left, and several friends dispersed. When they met Zhang Bo in their freshman year, he was so indifferent. Later, there was a serial murder case in the dormitory, and it was rumored that Zhang Bo was afraid and dropped out of school. Zhang Bo went to the restroom and circled around. Before walking back, he slowly opened the door of a VIP room, his right hand trembling uncontrollably as he slowly pulled out a decorative knife with carved patterns. There are several bodyguards from the Yuan family standing in the VIP room, and sitting in the middle is the eldest son of the Yuan family, Yuan Jingren. It is rumored that the Yuan family is the hegemon of the underworld, and Yuan Jingren is the eldest son of the Yuan family. Of course, he is arrogant. And this restaurant is also owned by the Yuan family. On the countertop were precious red wine and women's intimate clothing, and a girl curled up and knelt on the ground like a dog. She's licking something at this moment. Yuan Jingren was hugging each other and saw someone coming uninvited. His eyes were fierce and sharp, staring at Zhang Bo at the door. Chapter 2. Death Live Trailer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dog thing, who brought you in? Roll out smoothly. Zhang Bo shook his hands, revealing sharp fangs. I've already taken 10 sedatives today, Wokeo. I can't hold back anymore. A sharp flash flashed across. The bodyguard was about to pull out his gun but had already cut Zhang Bo's throat. He quickly turned over to avoid bullets from other bodyguards, while Yuan Jingren calmly ate and didn't even want to look at Zhang Bo. Zhang Bo approached the other bodyguards again with extremely fast body movements, swishing a few hands. I cut my throat again and took one of the bodyguard's guns. This extremely terrifying scene made Yuan Jingren burst out laughing. He was dumbfounded. He panicked and shouted in terror, "Who sent you here? I'll give you double." Zhang Bo inserted his art knife into the bodyguard's main artery before speaking slowly. "Can money solve the problem? Why did I come in? Let me tell you, brotherly." At this point, the door has been pushed open again. A boy with a cold face and a sharp smile on his lips walked into the room. Bo Zaij. Mental illness is not something. Don't cut your throat so easily. After speaking, the young man stabbed into the eyes of the last bodyguard. Yuan Jingren was suddenly scared out of his wits. He knew that arrogance was no longer useful, so he immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. He also knew that the Yuan family had a wealth of tens of thousands and had 300,000 disciples. Eat both black and white. He shouldn't kneel down to survive. The young man looked straight at Yuan Jingren. "Do you know what I'm doing here?" The language expert timidly asked. "Your Excellency must be seeking wealth." "The drug business. I can cooperate with you." "No problem." Before he could finish speaking, the young man stabbed his sword directly into Yuan Jingren's left chest. "I'm here to seek revenge." Yuan Jingren was panicked and uneasy, and that knife was stuck in his chest like this. This made him want to struggle to survive. The young man grabbed the handle of the knife and carefully advised, "Have you ever opened champagne?" Yuan Jingren nodded. The young man continued to explain with a sly smile, "If this knife were to be pulled out of your body, it would be like opening champagne. That blood, the popping heavenly maidens scattered flowers. Hee hee." Yuan Jingren is now covered in fear all over his body. "Big brother, what conditions do you have? You can tell me." The young man said earnestly, "I want to know, where is the 100 tons of pork, conch win, seized by the police? When will it be transported away?" Yuan Jingren thought the other party was avenging Drug Enforcement Officer Yulin. At this moment, I breathed a sigh of relief. He then exclaimed excitedly, "This business is not under my control, it was done by Yuan Shu. He is the third son of the Yuan family, ruthless, and there are also several assassins with extraordinary strength around him. Go find him." At this moment, Zhang Bo explained to the young man, "Yulin has a thin stab wound on his body." The young man's face was icy cold. I didn't say to avenge Yulin. I just want that batch of goods. The young man stood up swaying. Yuan Jingren was overjoyed, as the other party seemed to have let him go. He immediately started up a conversation with the young man, and his words opened up and he said, that drug enforcement officer is also acting recklessly. Even if we crack down on drugs, he still wants to touch the people of our Yuan family. He deserves his life. The young man suddenly became furious, with a heroic aura reaching his forehead. He slapped Yuan Jingren on the forehead with a backhand, causing his entire head to shatter and his brain to batter the ground. Then the two of them walked out of this magnificent hotel. The young man looked at Zhang Bo with a hint of dissatisfaction and said, surprisingly, he still eats with friends. What's the point of being mentally ill? Your friends don't know how to respect others at all, so don't hang out with them. Zhang Bo nodded helplessly and said, I poisoned it. This point should have already ascended to heaven. The young man coldly replied, crazy. Murder recklessly. Zhang Bo shrugged and said, there's nothing I can do. I've been wanting to kill them for a long time. The young man grabbed Zhang Bo's collar with one hand and immediately sneered, next time bury the body too, be clean. Mental illness is not something. At this late night on the street, several friends of Zhang Bo struggled to crawl and had already been picked up by a tall figure and thrown into the garbage bin. Blue Star. This world has accelerated, it's a new world. The old world has long been turned into ruins, buried under the dust. 1024 countries were born in the new world. The empire is the largest country among them. Qixia Kingdom has transformed from the second largest country in the old world to a third-tier labor exporting country. After the cessation of the War of Time Travel, the world developed rapidly, continuing the new calendar. December 10, 2186. The news on the internet has started airing last night's unexpected incident, where Yuan, the eldest son of the Yuan family, died inside the Billy Hotel. The live broadcast room keeps emitting barrage. Is this someone seeking revenge for the anti-drug hero Yulin, thinking too much? It's just a dog biting a dog. Revenge. Who dares to take the lead if you want more people? What is killing a dog after so many heroes who are willing to contribute their lives to us ordinary people have died? The network administrator's appearance is under prohibition. Suddenly a brand new live streaming room has been added to the live streaming page, and the applicant is not sure who can't find any trace. This live streaming software is global, and developers do not know who the operator is, so it is widely used, highlighting an unrestricted and anonymous login feature. At first, there was no one in this live broadcast room, and the screen played three people worshipping Lord Guan, all of whom were wearing a strange black mask. On the forehead of the mask is a lotus-shaped statue, and the paintbrush next to it is terrifying like a demon. And the title, Death Live, is prominently written on the live broadcast room. Number of people in the live broadcast room: 5. Hey, what are they worshipping? Worshipping a ghost. They are just pretending to be ghosts. At this moment, a person wearing a mask suddenly appeared in front of the screen. On the evening of the 12th at 10 o'clock, I will execute the person who once committed violence against Mr. Yulin. As soon as this statement was made, the live broadcast room changed from 5 people to 10 people, and it continued to rise. Just tell lies, be careful not to suck. Who doesn't know it's the Yuan family who did it? There's a group of assassins in other families. What are you guys capable of? Crooked melons and cracked dates. Brother, it's better to quickly download the broadcast, otherwise you'll be buried along the internet cable. The detectives at the police station are currently holding tea and watching the live broadcast, while a few subordinates are sneering. Inspector Wang he looked at the 3 masked people in the live broadcast room and immediately ordered his subordinates. Damn it, the backstage private message is asking them to download, don't be fooled. The old ghost nodded and immediately began to operate. The beautiful detective Xiaoqian on one side was mesmerized as she looked at the masks of several people. Wang he stared at Xiaoqian curiously and asked, what's wrong? What's the clue? Xiaoqian became serious and said to everyone, that's the Ghost King mask. A young man was curious, isn't it just a broken mask? Xiao Qian said angrily, we all know that ghosts in horror movies are fake, but would you wear this thing on your face? Besides, this is the Ghost King. That's also true. These people are completely insane. Xiao Qian immediately focused and continued, the Ghost King is something that even people in the martial arts world dare not draw randomly. Ordinary people avoid it when they see it, so only one type of person will wear it. What person? A vicious and desperate pervert. Wang He stopped Xiao Qian's analysis and immediately ordered, tomorrow is the day to transport 100 tons of pork. Don't worry about this. Although it is transported by the armed forces to the prosecutor's office for inspection, we also need to keep an eye on it in plain clothes. Xiao Qian furrowed her brows and asked Wang He with a heavy heart, Brother Wang, what do you think were the causes of death for Professor Zhang Weimin and Professor Liang Yu? Wang He sneered and immediately said helplessly, death at the hands of an assassin. Is it really suicide? The old ghost turned around at the computer desk and looked at Xiao Qian with concern, warning, if you see someone wearing a blindfolded black veil at night, hurry up and hide. Xiao Qian didn't know why, so she asked, why? There are several special professions in this new world called assassin, swordsman, blade, stranger, hacker, and winning. Except for hero. These guests have learned a large number of martial arts treasures from the ruins of the old world, as well as a strange superpower. There are still many rare weapons in the ruins of the old world, any of which can kill invisibly, and some even have superpowers that can unleash abilities. It's very magical. So the new world has weapon serial numbers from the old world, ranging from 0 to around 1000. Because most weapons are still buried under the ruins of the old world. It is extremely difficult for ordinary people to access the ruins of the old world, and learning these martial arts secrets is even more impossible. Perhaps it was just a coincidence that these people also enjoyed fighting, and the emergence of the old world bad habit of family in the world became intertwined. After completing the science popularization, the old ghost looked at the screen with a serious expression and then turned to Wang He, saying, Brother Wang, these guys want us to give them 1 billion. Wang He was speechless and said, can we give 10 billion yuan scallions? You're being stubborn. Let them go and die. Chapter 3. The Ghost King Party. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Yuan family is bustling here. The eldest son of the family, Yuan Jingren, was assassinated and died in a restaurant. Now, there is a live broadcast of his death to provoke him. As the current head of the family, Yuan Shu's face is solemn. He stood next to the dragon chair in the martial arts hall. More than 100 subordinates are focused on looking at themselves. The younger sister on one side looked at Yuan Shu and immediately advised, Brother, that death live broadcast is probably really aimed at us. Why don't I ask my boyfriend to ask Duoer to help? Yuan Shu sneered, my Yuan family has 300,000 students. There are countless people, and I need your useless boyfriend's help. Tell him to stay away and not touch my flowers and plants. Sister Yuan Yan anxiously explained, that's not what I meant, brother. Can I just let my boyfriend meet with everyone and discuss countermeasures? Next to Yuan Shu stands his second brother Yuan Long. Yuan Long immediately became angry. Little sister, don't be fooled. Does your useless boyfriend want to climb the dragon and become a phoenix? A garbage thug wants to enter the door of our Yuan family just because he saved you once. Call him the next life. Yuan Yan felt aggrieved. After all, her boyfriend Ling Duoer really liked her. Last time, she ran away from home in a fit of anger and ran into 2 criminals. If it weren't for Ling Duoer standing up, she might have died young. Yuan Shu didn't actually take the live broadcast of death to heart, but he was still very cautious. Send more people to protect the house. Don't let any fish slip through the net. Also, don't disturb father. A group of subordinates immediately bent down and responded with loyalty, their screams deafening. Yuan Long, standing beside him, has muscles all over his body and is 2 meters tall. He almost broke his chest and shouted confidently, "Don't worry, third brother, I'm here. I'm a martial assassin. I also have a saint assassin under my command, don't worry, leave it to me." Yuan Shu also knows that no matter what kind of guests, from weak to strong, they can be divided into ordinary people, warriors, saints, creators, entrants, and those without any form. A warrior can already defeat 100 enemies. Tearing iron sheets with your hands and smashing bricks and stones with your fists is not a problem. There are only 3 squirrels across from you, of course not panicking. Tomorrow morning is the time to transport pork, and the special forces are smoking, drinking, and scalding at this moment because the Dark Line has already issued a notice. The captain listened to the instructions from above and nodded, calling on the girls below to be diligent and quick. Remember, this is an item from the Yuan family, remember to count it clearly. The captain let out a pleasant shout and then replied, "I know. Don't worry, leave it to us. Yuan's family is working on security, you don't have any extra manpower on your end, be careful. Everything is ready, and the next morning the sun is shining brightly. Under a ray of light, the transport vehicle is already on its way out." The team members in the car hummed a song, feeling relaxed. You know, if you ship in this way for an hour, you can get 1 million. Everyone will be happy and let out a pig's cry. There are 3 people standing at the top of a tall building in the distance. They were wearing winged flying clothes and ghost king masks, gazing into the distance at an empty spot on the highway. "I want to fly higher. Don't be like a lunatic, okay?" After speaking, the 3 of them jumped down from the towering building together. A gust of wind blew by, and the 3 of them had already started flying in unison. They dared to fly on the city wing, which was also a crazy existence. A normal wing-mounted flight speed can reach 200 km per hour, and a slight mistake can lead to a crushing death. Besides, spinning and leaping in a city full of obstacles is a thrill. In just a few minutes, the 3 of them have approached the vicinity of the highway. Get ready to pull the parachute. The leader immediately ordered, "Brother Li, can we crash through it? This way, it's faster." Crazy. At this moment, a black truck drove over, and the landing position of the 3 people was actually above the truck. The truck is exceptionally familiar, it is actually a truck used by the special forces to transport goods. At this moment, the highway was blocked and the traffic was slow. The 3 people had already landed steadily above the truck. The first person pulled out a shotgun and took a quick step up to the top of the cab, facing the roof with 2 bullets. The roof was instantly filled with exaggerated bullet holes. And the driver in the cab turned into a bee nest on the spot. Don't underestimate the shotgun, it can accurately hit your head from tens of meters away. Even if you have the ability to spew fire and thunder, you can't stop a single shot. A person jumped into the driving truck from the window, and at this moment, several small cars following the truck behind them suddenly pulled out their guns and fought back. The gunfire shook the sky for a moment. The other 2 people jumped at almost flying speed on the roof of the car, holding black stars and strolling effortlessly on the roofs of those small cars. After a few efforts, the small car has been destroyed and people have died. The most despicable thing is that a thug with a utility knife killed everyone in a car. At this time, someone shouted angrily, "His mother, this is the Yuan family's pork. You guys dare to rob?" The thug holding a graphic knife laughed heartily, "The one who stole it is from the Yuan family. You black police officers are waiting to be killed by Brother Li." After speaking, the police officer was killed. 3 people jumped into the truck and drove straight off the highway on that day. Yuan Shu, the leader of the Yuan family, almost vomited blood upon hearing this news. No one knows this secret except for a few siblings. He is extremely angry. You know the price of 100 tons of pork is nearly 500 million. Selling it can earn a minimum of 1 billion yuan. In just one morning, I lost over 1 billion yuan of my family. This is truly the black sheep in the family, the big injustice in the martial arts world, and the philanthropist in society. This has spread out, his family can't be the leader anymore. Yuan Shu was furious and immediately beat the messenger into a dog and threw it out to feed the fish. His mother, send someone to search the whole city immediately. Yuan Shu was sweating profusely, his father was a sharp-toothed tiger, and the members of the board of directors were all wolves and foxes. Yuan Long looked at his younger brother pacing back and forth like he had hemorrhoids on his buttocks, and it was also malicious. Third brother, it seems like you should prepare your dry rations and run away. Father will not let you go. You should know that the last time the anti-drug police officer Yu Lin almost caused the Yuan family to be helpless. If it weren't for his martial arts skills, his strong body, and continuous pursuit for 3 days and 3 nights, he would have killed Yu Lin. I'm afraid no one would know where that 100 tons of pork are. Yuan Long was also grateful, thinking to himself, fortunately, the big brother informed Yu Lin's anti-drug police of the address, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it either. More than 10 of Yu Lin's teammates have all been exterminated. This forced someone to secretly notify Yuan Long. That is to say, all members of Yu Lin's anti-drug team were killed, all family members were wiped out, and even the neighbor's dog was not spared. This matter has just calmed down, and now that the pork has been stolen again, no wonder the Yuan family is like ants on a hot pot. Yuan Long had a complex expression and said to Yuan Shu, this Ghost King party seems to have come prepared. Yuan Shu cursed angrily, I don't care if he's prepared or Liu Bei. I want to turn them into dog poop. Chapter 4. Live begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, the police station also exploded. Detective Wang He and several subordinates strolled around the scene, and all the troops escorting the truck died on the spot. Strangely, most of the wounds were caused by cold weapons. These guys are all experts. It has been confirmed that these 3 people have the same masks as the 3 people who died last night's live broadcast, they are all Ghost King masks. The old ghost checked the body while saying, killing people cleanly and skillfully, not just experts. It's likely one of the professions, assassin. Wang He helplessly and angrily shouted, mad, another group of bandits has arrived. This time it's the Ghost King party, I'm sure it'll be the king of hell next time. Take a look at the head of this co-pilot. It's exactly the same crack in Yuan Zhengren's head. It's like a rare martial art from the old world. What's the name? Shaolin Powerful Diamond Hand. We received news from the Dark Line here, and Yuan Shu almost made a mistake on the spot. Is it the same person who killed my big brother? Yuan Long looked at the picture sent over, that's right, the wound is cracked and has a similar shape. With great force and heavy momentum, this power cannot be achieved without decades of Taoist practice, unless it is done with a machine. Yuan Shu was puzzled, is the killer a person around 60 years old? Just as they were talking, my younger sister Yuan Yan ran in. She looked at her 2 brothers happily, feeling very happy. Yuan Shu was slightly displeased. His father doted on his younger sister Yuan Yan very much, even if she had a useless boyfriend, he didn't pay much attention. He just warned not to let such lowly people enter the Yuan family. Yuan Long immediately asked in displeasure, little sister, your brother has lost over $1 billion. Are you so happy? Yuan Yan didn't care about the insinuations of her second brother, just kept catching Yuan Shu. Third brother, my boyfriend caught one of the members of the Ghost King party and even snatched back 100 tons of pork. As soon as these words were spoken, Yuan Shu was startled and his chin dropped on the spot. Did he really take a wrong look? Yuan Shu had a shocked and difficult expression on his face. Are you telling the truth? Really? My boyfriend is right outside, waiting for you to personally explain it to third brother. Yuan Yan blinked her eyes and her face was like a peach blossom. I thought to myself, my boyfriend has finally made a name for himself this time. Upon hearing this, Yuan Shu could hardly contain the joy in his heart. It wouldn't hurt if Duoer could really retrieve 100 tons of pork and see it. He restored his composure and immediately ordered his servants, tell someone to open the gate and let Ling Duo in. Yuan Yan jumped up happily and hurried towards the gate. At this moment, outside the magnificent gate of the Yuan family, stood a person who was Yuan Yan's useless boyfriend, Ling Duoer. He has a slender figure, eyebrows like swords, and a jawline like a carved plaster statue. His deep eyes emit sharp gaze, but his age is only 17 or 18 years old. The door of the Yuan family opened, and he walked into the house carrying a person wearing a Ghost King party mask and bound in various ways. At this moment, hundreds of people stood at the door until the martial arts hall, looking at him with respectful eyes. If it weren't for Duoer to retrieve the pork, they would have to be buried with him too. Ling Duoer nodded and smiled, with a serious and majestic demeanor that almost made everyone's legs weak and unable to stand. Is this like the smell emanating from waste materials? Arriving at the martial arts lobby, it's almost half the size of a football field. At this moment, Yuan Shu and Yuan Long were already standing in the lobby, while their good girlfriend Yuan Yan was rushing towards them and hugging them fiercely. Duoer, you're too strong. My brothers will definitely look at you with new eyes. Yuan Yan whispered softly. I won't embarrass you, Duoer said in a low voice. At this moment, Yuan Shu looked at her sister's useless boyfriend. Although she didn't like him, it wasn't easy to get angry. Hey, are you a blind cat hitting a dead mouse? Yuan Long took the lead in provoking. Can you touch one and show it to me? Duoer sneered. Yuan Long immediately became angry and said, don't think that doing something small can step into the door of our Yuan family. You're just a bunch of dog poop. Is the Yuan family so stingy? I helped you retrieve such a valuable item, thank you. Without saying a word, Duoer sneered with a mocking smile. Yuan Long was about to speak out and provoke, when suddenly a majestic aura descended upon him. A half-century-old man walked out of the inner hall. Longer, don't be impolite. Don't lose the face of the Yuan family. Duoer looked at the old man and immediately relaxed his face, even bowing respectfully. Yuan Shu was scared when he saw the old man. Father. Did we disturb you? This father is the founder of the Yuan family, Yuan Shenren. Yuan Shenren looked at Ling Duoer and said, are you my little sister's boyfriend? Yes, my name is Ling Duoer. Yuan Shenren looked at Yuan Shu with sharp eyes and said in a low voice, the visitor is a guest. How did you manage to become the family leader? Even if a dog does something for our family, they have to provide food. Do you know? Yuan Shu secretly smiled and nodded to understand. At this point, Duoer handed over the Ghost King party on his hand to others, who immediately handed him over to Yuan Shu. How dare you, you dog, rob our family's belongings? I want to see what you look like, a poor ghost. Upon seeing this, Yuan Long immediately stopped and said, did you do a body search? Search. The subordinate immediately replied. Yuan Shu lifted the mask of the Ghost King party on the spot, and in front of him was a pure white and clean face. Although he was male, this person was also very distinctive in appearance. Yuan Shu was first taken aback, thinking that the robber must be a burly man in his 20s, with a fierce beard on his face. This person is Zhang Bo. Zhang Bo spat out a craft knife from his mouth, and the blade flew out with the force sprayed from his mouth, fiercely piercing into Yuan Shu's neck. This shocked everyone on the spot. Duoer was frightened on the spot when he saw this, and he was fully prepared. He was about to make up for his mistakes and shouted, thief, if you put your hands down now, you can still have a way out. Zhang Bo's body and head will shrink, and after a few attempts, he will break free from the rope and pinch Yuan Shu's neck. Yuan Long felt that although he had all his martial arts skills, he was not good at attacking, so he had to swallow his anger. Let go, I'll spare you from dying. And at this moment, Yuan Shenren, who had seen the great storms, also began to change his face. After all, he had just lost a son. Duoer bravely drew out a dagger and immediately climbed onto the main hall, pointing directly at Zhang Bo with anger in his eyes. How can this rare wealth be destroyed by the Ghost King party? The scene became chaotic for a moment. Son of a bitch, look at my son. What are you doing up in the hall, you bastard? Get out of here, said Yuan Shenren on the spot when he saw Ling Duo'er so reckless. Duo'er was so scared that his hand slipped a little. A flying pounce has arrived in front of Yuan Shenren, and he inserts a knife into Yuan Shenren's chest. No one could react to this scene, which made Duo'er actually hijack the behind-the-scenes host of the Yuan family, the Yuan Shenren. Yuan Yen, not far from the front of the hall, was stunned on the spot. She widened her eyes in disbelief as she looked at her father, who had been kidnapped by Ling Duo'er. Duo'er, what are you doing? You. Yuan Yen opened her throat and let out a pitiful cry. It's a bit difficult to get close to you. Mad needs to have a super-friendly relationship with your slutty daughter, said Duo'er innocently as he looked at Yuan Shenren and pondered for a few seconds before speaking up. Yuan Shenren suppressed his anger and shouted, "What's wrong with my daughter? Are you giving up such a great opportunity to rewrite your life? Nima, she's so loose. Do you know how loose she is? It's like a piece of rag cleaning the floor," Duo'er said angrily. At this moment, a person in the dark, taking advantage of the unprepared crowd, climbed over a wall from a distance and took out his phone to start live streaming. Chapter 5. Offending me. Kill the whole family. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. There are hundreds of people standing below, but they dare not come forward to save others. Yuan Long has secretly instructed his subordinates, the assassins, to organize an operation. Whenever the opponent has a loophole, they will kill Ling Duo with one blow. Ask Duo'er to take out the Ghost King mask from his pocket and slowly put it on randomly. Zhang Bo lazily asked, "Brotherly, is it okay to drive? I can't hold back anymore." Yuan Yen below cried bitterly. She looked at Ling Duo'er in despair and asked, "You approached me just to get close to my father. Have you ever loved me?" Duo'er wore a mask and couldn't see his expression, so he let out bursts of playful laughter. "Hey, I'm crazy. How do I know what love is? And my name is Leng Li, what kind of idiot is that? This is a name that people can think of." Yuan Yen closed her eyes in despair, feeling the sky spinning and the earth spinning. This cold separation makes Duo'er as terrifying as cold blood. He instructed Yuan Shenren, "Old Biden, don't act recklessly. Otherwise, I'll have to open champagne." He pointed to his chest. The long-lost panic has begun to appear on the face of Yuan Shenren. He asked, "What do you really want? You gave me 100 tons of pork and I can give it to you." Leng Li also smiled. "Hey, that pork was originally mine. Do you have a fever?" Yuan Long also said, coldly, "What do you really want?" Coldly exclaimed, "I want you to shut down the door." As soon as these words were spoken, His Highness's men ordered a mocking smile. "Ha ha ha. You're just two people, a few hundred of us. Kill the door." Yuan Long doesn't think so. Is it possible that Leng Li is a warrior-level assassin? Even if he is at the warrior level, there are still saints on my side who are not afraid of Leng Li at all. Leng Li looked at Yuan Long, who was lost in thought for a moment. Perhaps he was worried that Yuan Long might use a Yin move. With such a distraction, Yuan Long's subordinates immediately discovered the flaw. A silver dart flew over, and Leng Li instantly realized it, but he distanced himself from Yuan Shenren. Upon seeing this scene, Yuan Long immediately felt that it was time to show off his divine power. He held a crystal dagger in his palm and immediately leaped up, ready to stab Leng Li. Coldly swept his leg and knocked down Yuan Shenren. Yuan Long had already rushed towards his back. Seeing Leng Li's middle door wide open behind him, Yuan Long sneered, "Dog thing, your deadline has come." Coldly was puzzled, "What?" Immediately, Coldly flipped over and slapped Yuan Long in the chest. Yuan Long couldn't dodge in mid-air and forcefully caught Leng Li's palm. Suddenly, Yuan Long felt his lungs violently hitting his spine. Fortunately, he is at the martial arts level. If he were an ordinary person, he would probably be beaten into a meat cake on the spot. Yuan Longqing was fortunate enough to want to speak, but at this moment, he felt a little cold in his chest and the fallen Yuan Shenren had already opened his mouth wide, trembling and pointing at Yuan Long's chest. Coldly smiled and asked Yuan Long, "Do you feel your lungs hitting your spine?" Yuan Long lowered his head in disbelief and looked at his chest, which had already been hit with a big growl. Yuan Shenren was stunned on the spot. What kind of person is this kid? And the assassin not far away was also surprised. This person, who looks 17 or 18 years old, can actually directly penetrate a warrior-level person. This is impossible. At this moment, while eating melons and feeling tired, Zhang Bo cut open Yuan Shu's neck with a knife. "Go on, it's finally me." Cold and displeased, he looked at Zhang Bo and said, "Hey, what are you doing? We agreed to kill you in the end. How can old Biden accept the triple blow like this?" Originally, Leng Li planned to kill a son first, causing Yuan Shenren to fall into grief, and then kill another one when he recovered, having killed two in such a short time. Now, Yuan Shenren can't even react. Coldly still cursed Zhang Bo, and the ambushed assassins appeared together, instantly surrounding Coldly and Zhang Bo. The assassin, led by one of them, immediately said, "Who are you, kid? Why did you use the powerful diamond hand? Did you go to the old world ruins?" Coldly finds it very funny. "Is it none of your business?" The leader immediately became furious and said, "Dare, as a saint-level assassin, can you be reckless here? I was originally planning to ask you who is your disciple and has a good explanation, but now, take your life." After the leader of the assassin finished speaking, a flipping carp leaped straight towards the cold leaving gate. I saw the leader holding a dagger in one hand, and in an instant, he was already close to Leng Li. Coldly attempted to dodge on one side, but the leader unexpectedly drew a soft sword from his waist in the air and stabbed Coldly with one sword. Coldly couldn't dodge, so he immediately flipped his palm and hit the leader's right hand holding the dagger. The leader was also surprised. Isn't this guy afraid of a dagger piercing his palm? In an instant, the two collided, and the leader's soft sword was actually held by Leng Li's right hand. Upon closer inspection, the dagger had already been hit by Leng Li's palm, piercing through his arm and flying out of his shoulder. The dagger charged straight into the crowd behind, piercing through the bodies of several people and fiercely piercing into the wall. This intensity has already made people's scalp tingle and terrified. Although the leader was defeated, he was unwilling to let it go. He raised his left hand in an attempt to force Leng Li to do some hard work. Cold Li's palms clasped together, his feet staggered and he stood firm. Immediately, a wave of anger attacked his heart, and his palm followed suit. The leader didn't dare to neglect the situation. He punched out, shouting, "This punch, 30 years of skill. How can you carry it?" Between the collision of the palm and the circle, an airflow was forced out, and the person next to them was instantly scratched by this terrifying and majestic airflow. With a loud bang, blood and flesh splattered. Looking at the leader's left hand again, it's completely gone. It's also fortunate that he is a saint-level person, with a relatively strong body that didn't collapse like this. Leng Li laughed and said, "Have you used all your 30 years of martial arts to fight against Fiji?" Coldly immediately withdrew his grip, and the leader had already fallen. At present, hundreds of people dare not move at once. And Zhang Bo in the distance has already started harvesting, killing more than 10 people in an instant. Leng Li let out a deep voice, "Why don't you go up together? If we say extermination today, it must be extermination." The members of the assassins' organization immediately notified the higher authorities in secret upon seeing the situation, and one of them stood up and shouted at Leng Li, "Do you know that our assassins belong to the Owl organization? You offended the Owl organization, and the outcome can be quite cruel." Coldly was so scared that he stepped back and said, This. I'm so scared. Yeah, shit. At this moment, Leng Li has already rushed into the crowd, and under his fierce palm, the martial arts hall is instantly cleared. Thanks to the rules in the lobby, guns are not allowed in the martial arts performance hall. Coldly looked at the dying Yuan Shinren and Yuan Yan holding him on the ground, and slowly approached. He took out his phone, opened the live streaming app, and now he is starting this death broadcast. And the number of people in the live broadcast room has skyrocketed to 100,000. On the barrage, one after another. Sleeping trough, really annihilating the Yuan family. Hey, this is a bit cruel. Cruel. All members of the anti-drug team were exterminated, abused, and killed, and no one was willing to seek justice for them. Who on earth was cruel? I want to recharge. I want to give a reward. The Ghost King party is amazing, brainless. This Ghost King party is not just eating black. Leng Li watched the live broadcast and then looked at Yuan Shinren. Old Biden, haven't you died yet? Your house is gone, ha ha ha. Yuan Shinren is now in despair, but he still has one breath left. He looked pale and threatened. Do you know what will happen if you kill me? Families all over the world will pursue you. Let fear devour you forever, and ultimately die in the flames of hell. Leng Li hugged Zhang Bo, trembling with fear. Wow, I'm scared. He dragged the body of Yuan Shinren out of the martial arts hall and arrived at the place in the courtyard where the 100 tons of pork were placed. Following behind her was Yuan Yan, crying and crying as she pounded Leng Li with her smaller hands. Animal, I treat you so well. How could you treat me like this? Leng Li grabbed Yuan Yan's throat and shouted angrily, bitch, don't think I don't know what you've done. Those men were all tortured to death by your medication. Otherwise, who would cut off your way in the middle of the night and pursue you? Yuan Yan's face turned purple from being pinched. Leng Li then said, do you think I didn't know you drugged my meal? Chapter 6. If you offend the OWL organization and still want to leave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuan Shinren is constantly threatening his daughter as he watches her being treated like this. You have offended families all over the world, and then offended the OWL organization. This life is unbearable. Do you know who the OWL organization is? They are all ferocious and evil criminals in every country. They are the demons chosen by the whole country to stand out. You will definitely die without a whole body. After Yuan Shinren finished speaking, he hugged Leng Li's thigh and said, so, if you let me go, let it go as if nothing had happened. I can let bygones be bygones. Wow, is it so cheap for me? Said Leng Li with a silly smile. He crouched down and asked Yuan Shinren, have you ever heard of the Holy Mountain Orphanage? Known as the concentration of justice. The Holy Mountain Orphanage. Leng Li continued happily, when I was 8 years old, I killed the whole village. A person as heinous as me, they actually took me in. Do you dare to touch the people inside? Coldly stood up, and a member of the Ghost King party had placed explosives inside 100 tons of pork. Leng Li tied Yuan Shinren to pork. I love cooking pork so much, slang for snails winning. Come on, I'll help you start the fire and cook this big piece of pork. Yuan Shinren shouted no, but was mercilessly punched and kicked by Leng Li, and his bones burst all over his body. Yuan Yan watched as her entire family was killed, and now she was completely disheartened, sitting on the ground in a daze. The three of them walked out of the door of the Yuan family, and the moans and cries for help from the Yuan deity from inside had become increasingly faint. Accompanied by a loud and violent sound, a fireball went from the ground, and the Yuan family officially fell and disappeared into the world of cannibalism. And at this moment, the audience in the live broadcast room is already superb. The number of viewers has reached 200,000. These guys actually fried the pork. I know now, this leader must be a proud and coquettish person. If you don't admit it, you're avenging Officer Yuan, Finally, I see someone daring to step forward. Wait a moment, these people are also cruel criminals, don't be mistaken. Leng Li looked at the barrage in the live broadcast room and replied. The next live broadcast will be a week later. Wait and see. Also, I'm not arrogant. In just one sentence, the live broadcast room exploded again, and Leng Li watched as her fans went from 0 to 500,000 overnight. He was shocked. I think I'm also quite suitable for doing live streaming. Zhang Bo leaned over and gave a thumbs up. Brotherly, you are indeed a good anchor, but the cost is a bit high. At this point, someone in the live broadcast room had already conducted a detailed investigation and left the comment section. Upon seeing this, Leng Li immediately understood and was pleased to have kind-hearted people help him. The charges against the Yuan family. Selling drugs, operating entertainment venues for sales. Killing compatriots, known to be over 1,000 people. Forcing women to engage in slipping activities. Forcing loyalty and righteousness. It is known that 18 household registration books have been destroyed. Bullying civilians, forcing relocation of old buildings, and raping over 300 women. Open an underground casino and harvest the hard-earned money of the people through software recharge and cash gifts. Online fraud, using local phone fraud, with a known amount of 2 billion. The fans in the comments section were amazed. Who will take these money after the Yuan family's downfall? That must be the Feng family. All this money is online, and the Feng family is a giant in online finance. These dog days are really lawless. That's right, Uncle Wayman was killed by the Feng family. Forget it, the Feng family cannot compete. Don't be impulsive, blogger. We are already very happy to see you. Lin's revenge. Hey, don't consider thieves as brothers. These Ghost King party are not good people. Yes, these people should be arrested. This is a violation of social peace. Yes, the Ghost King party is a terrorist. Don't worship them. Coldly closed the live broadcast room, and at this moment they are penniless. The three of them took off their disguise and casually found a restaurant to eat. Chapter 7. If you don't have money to eat, I'll invite you to rob. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The shop was filled with a murky atmosphere, and a group of thugs were touching the pure white jade hands of the little sister who was buying beer in broad daylight. Big brother, I'm just buying beer, I don't sell it. The leader's cunning expression on his face said, if I don't pay after eating, then it's not considered a sale. Hee hee. After speaking, the leader vigorously rubbed the little sister's hand as if he hadn't taken a shower for a few days. The restaurant owner quickly came over and whispered to the little sister, hey, this big brother from the East District is a wealthy man. Don't look at him as messy and dirty. The little sister felt a sense of grievance and said, sister, I'm just working part-time during winter vacation. I won't do it anymore. The landlady frowned and said, do you think you can quit by saying you don't do it? If you don't sell, where can I take back the deduction? There was a lively conversation over there, and Leng Li looked at his two teammates. The three of them were quiet and panicked. The tall and trembling figure looked at Leng Li and said, brotherly, it seems like we don't have the money to eat. I raised the money for the live broadcast. Zhang Bo awkwardly laughed and said, there's a review time. 1 week. With a cold and resentful gaze, he looked at the tall man and said, we came out of the mental hospital with over 10,000. Where did we spend it all? A shotgun. 2 black stars, said the tall and shriveled man in panic. Coldly hugged his chest with both hands and said, you're wasting money. You can't even afford to eat. A tall and aggrieved person murmured, brotherly has had such a great time playing. Even if he could slap him to death with one palm, he would definitely want to spit. Hey, you speak very loosely. The tall one was so scared that he almost crawled under the table when he heard Coldly say so. Zhang Bo immediately made a peace and said, brotherly. Coldly immediately gave a cold eye like frost, which frightened the two of them and made them dare not speak on the spot. The leader was still pulling with the young lady, but Coldly didn't even glance and ordered a luxurious feast. And opened a bottle of 82-year-old Lafite red wine. This kind of small shop actually has It looks fake at first glance. After finishing the meal, the leader over there has already picked up the little sister and started playing with her. Leng Li asked the landlady to pay the bill, objectively, a total of 32,800. The landlady smiled as she looked at Leng Li Sanren. Cold and lifeless, he looked at the landlady and exclaimed in astonishment, "Do you think I have 32,008 yuan?" As soon as the proprietress heard about it, isn't it his mother to find fault? She immediately clapped her hands and called out to the thug cold left and gave a sinister smile to Zhang Bo and the tall one, "Now, I invite you two to go rob." Zhang Bo understood the tall one picked up the landlady and threw it casually, and the landlady flew out like a shell. Coldly was furious and said, "You tall Nima. Are you crazy?" The tall and stunned person replied, "Yes. The doctor said there are still 10 years of treatment left." Coldly was infuriated to death. Zhang Bo flipped over and leaped, quickly approaching the leader. The leader wanted to get angry, but that bastard dared to provoke him. Zhang Bo has already drawn his art knife and cut his throat with one blow. Coldly wants to stop. Zhang Bo looked at Leng Li as if completing a task and said, "Brotherly, I have already helped you save Mississippi." Coldly almost got angry and laughed at. "Who said they want to save this bitch?" Coldly walked over and pushed away the little sister, instructing her to leave quickly. The little sister nodded in gratitude and hurriedly left. Leng Li grabbed the leader and threatened, "Hey. I'm going to rob you now, okay?" The leading elder brother was desperately holding his neck, nodding weakly. The three of them received tens of thousands of yuan and left immediately, and Leng Li instructed the two of them to do some secret things, and then Leng Li left the scene. The tall one kindly helped them call an ambulance. At this moment, the little sister who had been running all the way kept turning back in fear, as if she had noticed someone following her. Her home lives in the mixed North District. The North District is the most chaotic place in the music industry. Due to the influence of the old world, many people are willing to sleep on the street rather than buy a house. After all, they have been burdened with huge debts for a lifetime, and this life can be considered ruined. Although the deeds of the old world have been banned by countries around the world, there are always many civil elites who can make some of them leak out. Mrs. Family also doesn't want to buy a house, but her father works at Huateng Network Enterprise as an accountant. The company rewards employees who have worked for 10 years with a house, and then colludes with the real estate company in the name of land compensation fees. This way, every person who obtains a house has to share the land construction costs with the real estate company for 10 years. This cost is even more expensive than buying a legitimate house. As far as the country is concerned, real estate companies do need money to buy land, but using this covert method to indirectly kidnap and buy a house is also a clever trick. The little sister's father didn't want to be messed up like this, so he made some small things and discovered some secrets of the Huateng Enterprise. Who owns Huateng Enterprise? It belongs to the Feng family. That is to say, Zhang Weiman exposed that they were falsely borrowing software to save money, but in fact, they were treated as the family of recharge coupons. The distribution and usage rules of the Jianzhuan are managed by the Feng family, so our money becomes someone else's money. After all this, the little sister's father will be laid off, and the whole family will have to work part-time to repay the mortgage. This can definitely be called the operation of the divine hand. The sun is blocked by the huge forest of buildings, and only a ray of sunlight can escape numerous obstacles and shine on the ground. The little sister runs timidly through the only sunlight and there's really someone following behind her. That person found the student card that the little sister had dropped on the ground, Chen Xiaonan. Hee. Chen Xiaonan was already frightened by the little thug, and now being followed is filled with fear all over her body. When she got home, she felt a little more at ease. Dad looked at Chen Xiaonan with a melancholy expression on his face and said, "What's wrong? Those bastards are bothering you again." Dad is not talking about the little thugs in the restaurant, but about people sent by the Feng family who come to threaten. They knock on the door every few days, release snakes, splash paint, and even harass the safety of this family on the way. even resorting to nepotism in the workplace. This is only for one reason, to make Chen Xiaonan's father reveal those secrets he knows. But no one knows, if the secret is revealed, the whole family will die. Old Chen also wanted to report to the police, but it's useless. As long as the Feng family cleans up, they can also suppress online exposure. Their family lived in a state of deep fear, and if Zhang Weimin really won at that time, these lower-class people might be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Unfortunately, Zhang Weimin almost fell short in his efforts. Still end up being brutally killed by assassins sent by the Feng family. Chen Xiaonan turned on the internet TV and wanted to see something to change her mood. Latest news. The young man surnamed Leng who escaped from the Holy Mountain Mental Hospital has already completed his treatment. He was only discharged early, so citizens can rest assured. This young man once killed over 1,000 people in the village, poisoned and killed over 600 people, including his own parents and brother. Chen Xiaonan watched the news with a furrowed brow, feeling a haze lingering above her head. Mom shouted in the kitchen, "Xiaonan, call your younger brother back for dinner." "Where has he gone?" Xiaonan stood up anxiously, as her younger brother would usually visit her neighbors. Xiaonan had to go to the neighbor's door and call for her younger brother. She passed by a long vacant house where lights were actually coming out. There had been a murder case before, so it was abandoned. After calling several households, there was no trace of her younger brother, and an ominous omen arose in Xiaonan's heart. She quickly went home and called her father Lao Chen. Chapter 8. The Powerful Means of the Feng Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing this, old Chen immediately thought of the dirty tactics of the Feng family. Are these bastards finally unable to resist kidnapping my family members? Old Chen was extremely anxious and immediately went door searching for his son Chen Xiaoming. Half an hour has passed, and all the familiar and unfamiliar neighbors have been searched for, but they still haven't found their son Xiaoming, who is only 10 years old. Finally, Xiaonan and Lao Chen both stood in front of the house that was originally vacant due to the murder case. Old Chen swallowed his saliva and nervously knocked on the door. The door opened and a young man stood at the door, looking at Old Chen with a resentful expression on his face. Old Chen's heart thumped and his heart trembled. "Hello, I'm looking for my son." The boy turned his head and looked inside the room. "Xiaoming, your dad is looking for you." Xiaoming shouted loudly inside the room, "Wait a moment, Dad, we're going to kill 5. We're going to kill 5. Brotherly, please don't hang up. I can't kill 5 without your bien Quebec." Upon hearing his son's voice, a big stone fell from Old Chen's heart, and he breathed a long sigh of relief. "Sorry, little brother. I'm here to take my son home for dinner." The young man showed an inappropriate smirk and said, "Okay, if you win, you can leave. Because we have a hijacking situation where the ferry station is hanging up." Old Chen was so angry that he wanted to explode. On one side, Xiaonan quickly tugged at his father's clothes and then explained the whole story of the restaurant incident. This young man is exactly Leng Li. Old Chen became more and more afraid as he listened. He asked in a crying voice, "Little brother, I only have this one son." "Congratulations on ascending to the King of Glory." The young man let out a cheerful voice, "Xiaoming can do it. He is indeed a master." Xiaoming innocently shouted, split it up, Brotherly, let's play again next time." "You want to take me to glory, okay." Leng Li chuckled and said, "I can take you to heaven." After speaking, Xiaoming left. Old Chen was so scared that he quickly ran away. He could only hide from such a cruel person. Returning home, Old Chen breathed a sigh of relief and immediately scolded his son. Such a big person is still visiting the house recklessly. Xiaoming flattened his mouth in grievance and said, "Brother Leng Li is so kind to me. He also has big cola to drink. This Xiaoming is just a poor-mouthed person." Suddenly, Old Chen felt a chill seeping into his body, and his goosebumps were dancing all over his body. what is that little brother's surname? Xiao Ming reluctantly replied, my surname is Leng. It's the same surname as the killer mental illness on TV news. Old Chen was panicked and said, it's not that coincidental, is it? Coincidentally, the TV news is still airing suddenly. Someone knocked on the door. Old Chen went to open the door in shock, and it was Leng Li standing at the door. He walked straight into the house with a bag of things. Old Chen was so scared that his legs were weak. Compared to this kind of ruthless person, the little thug was bronze. One by one he has been threatened by the thugs of the Feng family for over a year and is not as scared as he is today. Leng Li politely greeted, hello uncle, I'm a new person named Leng Li. My gaming phone ran out of battery just now, and I forgot to buy a data cable. Old Chen Chi smiled and said, Xiao Ming will immediately give a thread to Big Brother. After speaking, Xiao Ming walked out with a data cable that was over 2 meters in length. With a cold smile and a frown, he said, the thread is so long, but it's easy to strangle your neck. At this moment, the sunlight was blocked by the building, and Leng Li let out cheerful laughter in the dark place. Old Chen apologized, while Xiao Nan was so scared that she stared blankly. The news was broadcasted again. A young man surnamed Leng slaughtered the entire village. Old Chen awkwardly wanted to turn off the TV, while coldly stared at it silently. The atmosphere suddenly became icy cold, leaving only a scraping flesh-like chill in the air. The sun shone relentlessly from above the building, and Leng Li smiled kindly. He broke the deadlock and said, TV news cannot be trusted. Old Chen breathed a sigh of relief. He almost had a heart attack. I slaughtered not so many people. Some bodies may not be found, oh. Cold Li's astonishing words made Old Chen's hair stand erect, and his whole body stiffened. Xiaonan was even more frightened and screamed, causing the kitchen mom to walk out of the kitchen with a kitchen knife and a live chicken in her hand that she wanted to worship the gods. She didn't plan on slaughtering the chicken until the meal was ready. Cold Li saw the kitchen knife shining in both eyes. Mom also complained, killing chickens is too difficult. Let's have someone do it next time. Oh, there are customers. Old Chen wanted to stop his wife from talking, but Leng Li had already taken the lead in approaching Chen's mother. Chen Ma, let me do it. I'm very familiar with using a kitchen knife. Chen's mother joked, young man, do you often kill chickens? He. When Lao Chen saw Leng Li take the kitchen knife, his heart lifted. It was a question of killing many chickens. Xiao Ming had already realized it later and was so scared that he wet his pants. Xiao Nan curled up next to the sofa. It only takes 10 seconds to cool off and it's really familiar. This is the fruit I bought, please eat it. By the way, Chen, I have something I want to discuss with you. How about finding a time? Old Chen was about to cry, so he quickly dismissed Leng Li and said, okay, let's find a time. Leng Li nodded and said, then let's do it now. Do you mind adding a pair of chopsticks? Chen's mother smiled optimistically and said, of course not. The young man is so handsome. By the way, my daughter doesn't have a boyfriend yet. Mom, are you going to feed the sheep into the tiger's mouth? Said Xiao Nan, feeling aggrieved. Leng Li sat down politely and started eating with their family of 4. Old Chen ate like a walking needle felt, and the atmosphere became unusually awkward. Leng Li said first, I know your secret, Old Chen. Why don't you tell me? Maybe I can help you. Upon hearing this, Old Chen thought to himself, this guy was indeed sent by the Feng family. The Feng family is really cunning. In fact, the Feng family is not sure how much Lao Chen knows, but others have a good reputation and are different from the Yuan family who are involved in the underworld. If it is not necessary, they do not want to dirty their hands. Suddenly, a group of police officers rushed into the room and grabbed Leng Li. Originally, Old Chen just reported to the police in secret. It has to be said that Old Chen still has some vigilance. Leng Li was taken back to the police station with a chicken leg in his hand. Old Chen breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't know that there was already a group of people downstairs waiting with kerosene and chains. The Feng family is getting impatient. In this country, the Feng family and several other families monopolize half of the world of online finance. They cover the sky with only one hand, act insidiously and deceitfully, and hire world-class terrorist organizations like Gaowu. A presence that even the head of a country must fear. It is rumored that the Owl organization has an average of superpowers and has reached the top level of existence, thus earning the title of entrant. Those who are in the trance can smash metal with their bare hands, step on the clouds, wrap their hands around strange energy, and enter their bodies with the wind, killing invisibly. The superpowers that follow within the body can achieve greater improvement, fantastic and infinitely powerful, just like a walking nuclear bomb. They still have the top 100 weapons per person, any one of which can destroy the sky and earth, bring hurricanes and lightning. Unfortunately, they are extremely intelligent and hold the power to kill in the world, as strong as the barbaric and domineering empire, which is also wary of the killing ability of the Owl organization. On this side, Leng Li sat at the police station for half an hour, but there was no evidence at all. After all, the people in the restaurant would not run out to testify. The world is in chaos, and besides, Zhang Bo messed up the surveillance footage and everything. The dirty deeds recorded by the hotel thugs are even thicker than those in their homework books, so of course they won't come to the police station. Registering information, Leng Li was about to leave when he was stopped by someone. That person is Wang He. As a police officer, he heard the name of a young man surnamed Leng early on. Chapter 9. The Secret of the Holy Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That kid over there, come over here for a moment. Upon hearing someone shouting, Leng Li didn't turn back. Wang He felt a strange feeling and quickly walked forward to block Leng's way away. I'll tell you, don't provoke the little thugs in the northern district. Wang He said cautiously. Leng Li looked innocent and said, I didn't do it. I didn't provoke them. Wang He had Leng Li's personal information in his hand. He stared at Leng Li and continued, it's rare to release it. Once you're healthy, live a good life. Mental illness is not something. Cold Li's gaze revealed a moment of malice. The dean often says, unfortunately, he died unexpectedly. Wang He has been catching thieves for 20 years, and he seems to smell a dangerous aura on Leng Li's body. Wang He grabbed Leng Li's collar with a sharp gaze and warned, many people like to pretend to be mentally ill. Don't make any mistakes. Leng Li looked innocent and said with a flat mouth, yes, you only know how to catch mental illnesses. Zhang Weimin, Liang Yu, Peng Yuanjun all died unexpectedly. Those who don't know think you are black. He. Wang He didn't know what to say for a moment, and these cases were not investigated by his team. Suddenly, a person in a black suit slapped Leng Li's face. Black what? Who is black? So fond of talking crazy. Wang He was startled by that person's actions. Detective Xiao Feng. This kid hasn't done anything wrong, why is he so angry? Xiao Feng stared fixedly at Leng Li. Cold and disdainful eyes teased Xiao Feng, who politely threatened, I believe we will see each other soon, Detective Xiao Feng. Remember to call in advance to make an appointment for dental implants. Xiao Feng wanted to take action but was stopped by Wang He, and Leng Li also left the police station. In terms of the system, the position of detective can be said to be quite high, and it is the police of a city who can be mobilized, about tens of thousands of people. The equipment that can be retrieved includes rifles, pistols, grenades, etc. Power is quite great. And because they belong to the front line, they are highly respected, and they also have some contact with many social and political figures, wealthy businessmen, and big bosses. Wang He returned to the office and immediately instructed the old ghost to draw out a cold report. Xiao Qian was reading Leng Li's materials, and the more she read, the more she felt her hair stand on end. Brother Wang, this guy's murder record is too detailed, isn't it? The old ghost said leisurely, it's hard not to believe that we caught it on the spot. The report states that he first poisoned his own parents and then used a kitchen knife to kill his own brother. This is too abnormal. The old ghost stared at the report and said, the people in their southern clan villages eat big pot rice, cooking in the ancestral hall using a large pot, and it's easy to poison them. It is written here that he was first transported to the Holy Mountain Orphanage and only locked up at the Holy Mountain Youth Mental Hospital when he was 16 years old. Wang Heyue felt something was wrong as he listened. The dead heroes are all from the Holy Mountain Orphanage. It seems that the recent Ghost King party is also related to the killing of the heroes. Leng Li is also from the Holy Mountain Orphanage. Are they related? The old ghost knows a lot. Although he is a police officer, he knows many strange stories. I just heard that the Holy Mountain Orphanage was established by a mysterious organization in the Old World. When the Old World was destroyed and the world accelerated, the Holy Mountain remained unscathed as if time had come to a standstill. Wang He also became interested. Is there anything else? The old ghost continued, did you see the people from the Holy Mountain Orphanage coming down the mountain? But they are not for money, not for profit, and not for power. It's like a gathering place for justice. On the other hand, the Holy Mountain Psychiatric Hospital is like a habitat for twisted and vicious murderers. Which one is not a psychologically twisted and inhumane animal captured? Wang He pondered, what kind of person is this Leng Li? Does he belong to justice or evil? A few people were still discussing when we received a report that Jolong community in the East District, the most densely populated building area in the city, was on fire in a place that could be described as sticky. Old Chen had just left here when those thugs ambushed him halfway and even locked his household iron chains. Under coercion and temptation, Old Chen never revealed the secret. After achieving nothing, these people unexpectedly set fire to the Old Chen family, which was as terrifying as purgatory. But there are also Old Chen's family members at home, Chen Xiaoming, Chen Xiaonan, and Chen Mama. Old Chen was covered in injuries all over his body, and he looked inside the iron fence with great sorrow. His family was crying loudly. The three people inside the room curled up in the bathroom and covered their bodies with wet cotton quilts. This was the last resort, and if the fire department didn't come, they wouldn't have to come. And the fire truck was blocked by several large trucks when entering the community gate. Old Chen was in excruciating pain and could only watch as his family was burned alive. He was powerless, and the sun was obscured by dark clouds, leaving only a raging fire burning fiercely. Neighbors looked at Old Chen with tears of pity in their eyes, wife, son, daughter. Dad is sorry to you. It's Dad who can't fight those animals. Buddha, please save my family. Old Chen cried, his nose mixed with saliva dripping onto the ground, his face twitching uncontrollably. Suddenly, a voice came out from behind. What's up? Do I look very much like Buddha? As soon as the words fell, a pair of hands covered in scars grabbed the burning iron fence one by one. Old Chen was stunned to see it. The sun desperately ran out of the dark clouds, shining on the doorstep of Old Chen's house. It's you, Brother Leng Li. Generations are in disarray, Uncle Chen. Coldly exerted his strength and pulled the entire iron fence out of the cement wall. Cold and calm, he threw the iron fence out, then kicked open the door with one foot. With a burst of his palms, an incredible evil energy erupted, even the fierce flames like tigers were afraid to approach. He walked effortlessly amidst the blazing flames, rescuing the three in no more than 10 seconds. When he placed the three people in the corridor, nearby neighbors clapped and cheered. Young man, you are really a hero. Wow, I bravely saved 3 people by jumping into the sea of fire with my bare hands. This is headline news. Leng Li solemnly instructed everyone, don't spread it out. Otherwise, everyone will have to be retaliated against by the Feng family. The neighbor immediately dared not speak and cleverly deleted the clip from his phone. Old Chen was grateful and cried bitterly. He almost knelt down and kowtowed to thank Leng Li, but Leng Li helped Old Chen up. Old Chen, tell me the secret, I'll handle everything else. You can't bear this burden. Take your wife and children and leave. Old Chen dare not conceal it anymore at this moment. He pulled cold and left in a corner, saying whatever he wanted immediately. Thank you for saving my family. A few years ago, I felt that there was something wrong with the funds on Huateng network, and there would be a gap of over 1 billion yuan for no reason. Suddenly, it was filled again. Later, I found out that they were using the money saved by the people on the internet to engage in black market business. What if we lose? I can't afford to lose. Few people spend all their money on software. He can fill in all the money no matter what. Keep it simple. At that time, Zhang Weimin almost got the record of the cooperation between Huateng and the black market, but his efforts were in vain. Fortunately, Zhang Weimin's Huateng network stopped working, otherwise 30% of the country's money would have been swallowed by Huateng companies. Coldly asked, then your secret. Old Chen mustered up the courage and said, I know where the black money earned by Huateng in the foreign black market and online fraud is. As long as it can be proven that the money belongs to Huateng Enterprise, the Feng family will be ruined. That's a traitor. Oh ha. It's interesting. Old Chen, you helped me reduce the difficulty of the game very well. Chapter 10. The Secrets of the Feng Families Selling the Country. You are listening at novelfull.audio. To put it simply, if a person only has 100 yuan in their hands and can only earn 50 yuan a day, but if they suddenly increase by 10,000 yuan one day, it will raise suspicion. In this situation, we can only hide this money and get a high-paying job to make others think he can earn so much money, then this 10,000 yuan will turn white. So what are the high-paying jobs in Huateng Enterprises? Of course, it is the place with the most currency flow. People on the internet are staring at the Death Live broadcast channel constantly refreshing, and their phones are almost flashing sparks. Death Live has changed its name to Daily Sharing of the Ghost King Party. It seems that this name looks a bit friendly and less aggressive. The network administrator also wants to take down this channel, but the data in the background is not under their control, and various forces are also helpless. Will this Ghost King party fly to heaven and flee to earth? The downfall of the Yuan family has caused panic among many underworld families, leading to a constant influx of sparks in the entire music industry that are about to ignite. Suddenly the daily sharing of the Ghost King party has been launched. In an instant, the number of viewers increased from 500,000 to 1 million. Dengzi Gu is online. Hey, that's a thief, big brother, stop causing trouble. We've been catching people who can draw lately. On the screen, one of the 3 people begins to speak. Tomorrow's business. Target the Feng family. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole network was in an uproar. What is the status of the Feng family? Monopoly the gaming industry, monopolize online finance. Let's put it this way, the Feng family has collapsed, and the whole country is in trouble. How many online stores will close? Even if the deposit cannot be retrieved, there may be billions. Suddenly, the internet was filled with curses. Hey, don't mess around. There's no place to refund my online store deposit. And the money I traded is all stuck in the temporary trading software of Huateng. You can wait for my customers to receive the goods before doing anything with them. Mad, it's a disaster to the country and the people. Damn it, everyone, without experiencing pain, we will always get sick. That pain can last for a lifetime. Do offline. Everyone started cursing in the comments section. The next morning, everyone had already withdrawn the money for WeChat and network software. This operation made the Feng family furious and furious. If we continue, the money that was used to make black money will be exposed. In the end, someone will not be able to withdraw the money. For the sake of reputation and status in the hearts of the people, the Feng family can only use their own assets to fill this big hole. And this is also in the arms of Leng Li. Take a good look. Those beasts are going to use their own savings to fill the hole. The tall one didn't understand. Brotherly, what are we going to do this time? Force them to beat ghosts, people beat people, and beasts do scumbags. After Leng Li finished speaking, he smirked and put on the mask of the Ghost King. The banks in the city are busy, and the Feng family has issued an order to limit the withdrawal limit of Huateng physical banks. The purpose of doing this is to block the mouths of netizens, otherwise others will think that Huateng Enterprises deposit software cannot withdraw money. On the other hand, physical banks are unlucky, as most of them are linked to the state. Moreover, Huateng Enterprise has a good reputation, and it is not difficult to borrow money to get through the dangerous period. This is called the hand of God. Cover up your own scandal with the money of the country. And all we need to know is one thing. If the supply of Huateng Enterprises exceeds demand, they will be ruined. A tricycle drove to the entrance of the Huateng Bank, which was similar to a regular brick tricycle. 3 people jumped off the ground. They were wearing Ghost King masks on their heads, and one of them was holding an RPG rocket in his hand. Another tall one is holding a Gatling. There is also a grenade holding a basket of water fruits. The 3 of them confidently stepped into the door of the bank. Don't move. Robbing money doesn't rob women. Men on the left, women on the right. Transgender people stand in the middle. One of them spoke up, startling the people present as they were about to scream. Watching their equipment, they immediately swallowed it back into their stomachs. If the police arrive within 10 minutes, I'll take out all of you. Just like the Yuan family. As soon as these words were spoken, the person who wanted to report to the police in secret stopped on the spot. Everyone watched the 3 guys slowly approaching the counter. The leader politely asked the teller, "Hello, where is the safe deposit?" The teller trembled and pointed to a road that led to the underground level behind. Leng Li, who was the leader, politely thanked him immediately and then instructed the 2 of them to guard the hostages. He went alone to the vault, passing through several corridors. The vault is in front of us. In front of the vault, there were 4 figures standing, holding knives and embracing their chests. They were closing their eyes and recuperating at the moment. Leng Li, under the light, saw 4 people with full foreheads and bulging heads on both sides. The chest undulates evenly, and the standing posture remains motionless. Wow, master. This time it's troublesome. Upon hearing the sound, the 4 of them immediately opened their eyes and glared angrily at a thin and weak figure, their faces emitting mocking smiles. Anyone dares to break in here. One of them looked up disdainfully and stared arrogantly at Leng Li. One person disdainfully asked, "Do you know that we are the knives?" "I knew about the knife tower." One person stared at Leng Li, wanting to forgive his ignorance. Sword before sword, assassin behind. Strangers on the left, hackers on the right, and heroes have already died. Swordsman is the second-ranked existence in the profession. Leng Li suddenly realized. I understand, you guys are bragging and pushing us. 4 people were enraged by the cold and detached aura, and one of them immediately took a step forward. "Kid, I'll meet you later." The man pulled out a silver knife that shimmered with cold light. The blade was over a meter long, and the handle was inlaid with white jade. The whole knife was exquisite and unparalleled. Sequence 168. Blood-drinking knife. The top 500 weapons in the sequence can be said to have both power and functionality. Strength should not be underestimated. Please prepare armored vehicles for defense, but coldly only has one hand. Just that person swung a knife and surprisingly cut out a semi-transparent sharp moon arc strike. I was so scared that I tilted my head and dodged. Is that it? Even O'Neill's grandmother can avoid it. The person was furious and said, "My saint-level swordsman, are you allowed to be reckless here? Take your life." Leng Li stepped forward, and the person swung a knife and cut open the ground. In an instant, the rubble flew wildly, and Leng Li closed his palms and fired. The person immediately used the knife as their palm to forcefully collide with Leng Li. "Pa Ji, the knife is broken. I feel numb." That person was so scared that he couldn't even lift his chin. Leng Li sneered inwardly, do you know what a powerful diamond hand is? That person was shocked. Shaolin's mighty King Kong hand is not considered a peerless martial arts skill, but there was once a tough point where he foolishly practiced the same move for decades. Finally, with one palm move, he walked alone in the world, causing his enemy to be torn apart. To be honest, this person has some swordsmanship, but the blood drink knife in sequence 168 belongs to functional superpowers, and he actually uses it as a shield. Coldly waved his palm without saying a word. That person wants face to the death, so he has to work hard all over. He has been studying martial arts for more than 10 years, and it's impossible for him to kill a little furry head. Two people's palms are facing each other, and an external force is frequent, like ripples in the water. With a loud and rapid snap the person's arm broke and flew out, as if being crushed by a road roller, trembling and falling to the ground. The other three were all surprised. What kind of divine nature is this inconspicuous kid?